Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
A few months back, I was at UNMC at the hospital. And I was at the hospital in the foyer of the hospital, right there, if you know the foyer of the hospital at UNMC, right there near the escalator that goes up to the second floor to the pharmacy. Well, I was there in the foyer and I immediately noticed Pete. I've changed his name, by the way, to protect the innocent, if you will. Pete, a St. John's parishioner, actually a second grader. This year he's preparing for his first Holy Communion. And he was standing there at the escalator. And he was standing there just staring at the escalator, at the handrails as they went up and as they came down. Just his eyes were just locked on those escalators. Immediately was just taken aback. At first I thought he might be afraid to get on those moving stairs. So I went over to him and I said, Pete. First I asked him, where's your mother? She's up in the pharmacy on the second floor. And I said, well, are you afraid to get on the escalator? Are you afraid of these moving stairs? And his eyes were still staring at those handrails of that escalator. So intent, his whole focus. Immediately, Pete just looked up at me just for a moment so he could keep staring at the escalator. And he says, no, Father, I'm not afraid. I'm watching the handrail go up and come back. I'm waiting for the chewing gum that I stuck on the handrail to come back. What faith, what hope to stand there and wait. So I asked him, how long have you been watching that escalator? A half an hour. Now that's determination. We could all use that kid's faith and hope and indeed determination as we once again are confronted by that relentless COVID-19. As community spike of this virus seems to be ravaging our community. We've experienced loss. Many of us, especially those who are live streaming, loneliness. And certainly we can't even plan for the future, this uncertainty. Indeed, I don't know about you, but I've been having some anger issues. And really disappointment at our government, who does not appear to care if we get sick or if we die. Especially those who are on the fringes of our community, who could use that stimulus package. Their lives are hanging in the balance. And then we have today's parable. A very strange parable of the talents, which I put before you today as a reminder of a promise. That we have been given more than enough faith and even hope to break through the fear and desperation that seems to be holding us at this moment. In this parable of the talents, an owner, a businessman, is giving his wealth, his very estate, to his servants, raising up his servants to his own position in life. And we have to step back a bit. In the ancient world, this story would have been ridiculous, because no rightful businessman or master would raise up his servants to his own level. And then you have to look at what talents are. In the ancient world, talents would be equivalent to millions and millions of dollars. It means that this master or this businessman is just giving almost all his wealth to the servants. So when the ancient world heard this, they must have thought, this is ridiculous. This is turning everything upside down. It is breaking those social and economic divisions that kind of hold together the ancient world. And Jesus is saying, no, I'm raising you up. I'm providing you with everything that you need. However, in this parable, I gave you the short version of it, but in this parable there are many reactions to this generosity of the master or the businessman. However, what stops the servants from utilizing the wealth, the new status, the connection to the owner, it's quite clear, it's fear. Many of the servants decide, I don't know what to do. There's a fear of failure on behalf of some of the servants. There's actually a fear that they're not good enough. Probably because they've been told so many times, you're not worthy. And so they fear that they can't do this. That they can't live out of this new status, the richness of life. So there's all this fear. And also fear of what this might look like to everyone else. That can be a fear that we all face. What would people think if we did something bold? Much like today in the Jesuit world, we're remembering the martyrs of El Salvador, those Jesuits and their two companions who were martyred for being bold enough to speak out for those who could not speak, for the poor, going up against injustice of their day, for liberation. Yet this gospel today, in their lives as well, there is good news here. That Jesus' life is shared, blessed, and broken for us. meaning that fear is no match for our hope, the hope that has been lavishly bestowed on our lives by God. That faith will always win. As these martyrs so remembered, I will rise in my people. And indeed, resurrection happened in the people of El Salvador because of these martyrs. And people like Oscar Romero and Rutilio Grande. Brothers and sisters, as we continue to confront this COVID-19 and just how relentless it is, I'm going to ask that you fear not. That indeed you do have that faith and hope that has been deeply instilled in you. I'm going to invite you to do something bold. It might seem like something simple, but it is really bold. You all have neighbors. I invite you to check in on them, especially our elderly neighbors who are staying at home. Just give them a call. Maybe drop something off on their doorstep. See if they need anything. And if you can't provide that need, give us a call, and we'd be happy to step in. I'm afraid that this spike is devastating those who really don't have a voice. They kind of secretly live in our neighborhoods. So I invite you to be bold and to reach out. Bring these people to the attention of your faith and your hope. The good news, there's good news. And we have to live with that good news as we confront all the troubles and the hurts that we've experienced in midst of this pandemic, and uncertainty and the challenging times that we live in. But the good news is this, that our lives are raised up in hope. Jesus brings us up to a new status where we are so closely linked with God's intimacy and love that indeed our faith has raised us up. Thus, hurts can be healed. Troubles can be overcome with that strength of faith and hope that abides in our lives. I can hear God tell us this day, I've got this. You've got this. Hope, faith, and that strength to live it out in love. When this pandemic first began, I promised our good Lord that I would do something that my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents often did in the midst of troubles and difficulties and illness. They would make a promise that they would visit the 3 shrines of northern Canada and have a Mass celebrated at each of those shrines. I promise the same. If our community can get through this, and I have hope it will, because we're in it together, I have promised that I will celebrate a Mass of Thanksgiving at the Oratory of St. Joseph at Cape de Madeleine and at St. Anne's Shrine. And part of that I would walk out of Thanksgiving. And I'm going to invite anyone who wants to come with me. I would love to have you come with me. Because I think and I know that we do indeed have enough faith, we have enough hope, and we have the strength to love that indeed we have this. God has this. God has us.